Orthographic exercise 2. In this exercise, we again look at an isometric component, and we want to draw three sides: the front, the right, and the top, with all the detail, so hidden detail as well as center lines. So the first thing we want to do is we want to estimate how big the blocks have to be that we need to draw this. So we can just guess, and we say, for example, if we say that this line is approximately 6, we can say that maybe this is about 4, and then the height here is probably around 4 as well. Just to get an indication of how big this block is in relation to each other. So once we have an indication of how big this block is, we want to draw 3 blocks from which we then fill in our orthographic detail. So we start with the principal view. We have a right view and a top view. And remember this 45-degree line that indicates to us how the top and the right lines up. Okay, so then if we look at the different views, if we start with the principal view, we can see that what we can see if we look from this side is this is the only shape that we actually see. So that's fairly straightforward. And we can plan it by saying we have a circle here in the center. So if there's a circle in the center, and it's about not halfway into the depth, but maybe a third. So there's a circular component. So if this is the radius, this needs to be the radius. So we have this part of the shape, and then we have these side parts that go down and out to the side. And that gives us that shape that we see from the right. Now let's move over to the second view. I can translate some of this information over. From this right view, I see only these dark 2 squares. And so I basically only have this step here at the bottom, and I just see these 2 shapes. I see 1, 2 rectangles. So that's fairly straightforward. From the top, if I look at the top view, I can see these 2, as well as this, and then I have the cylindrical shape. But a cylinder at the curve from the top, if I look at it straight from the top, it just looks like a straight solid piece. So when I redraw this, again I'm using my principal view to translate information. And I can just draw straight solid lines here. And I see my small circles, so I can have my small circles placed in the way that I see them at the top. So that's the first bit, drawing the solid lines. Now I need to fill in hidden detail and center lines. Now let's fill in the hidden detail first, because that's usually easier. So just to make sure that our final blocks will look like this. So you'll erase all the construction lines, and the final blocks that we have will look like this red drawing that I'm making. Okay, so first things first, center lines. So here it's fairly straightforward. Because our circles are so small, we can just put crucifixes through the whole circle. Okay, we know center lines for the circle. We also know that this is a circle from the top, so it's an axial form. And we draw the center line there. Now all of these things, of course, translate to the other drawings. So this will translate into here. And here I actually see the circle from the front. So I'll have my cross short, long, and just slightly sticking out here on the sides. And then the same with these, I'll see them in the axial form on this view, And that will be my center lines for the principal view. Going on to the right, remember we translate this information across. So we'll see our center lines in axial form for the small circles. And for the bigger circle, it's actually lying on top of that line, but I'll just see small little pieces of that center line coming out on either side. And that helps me to indicate that there's a circle lying behind that. The final thing we want to add is hidden detail. So hidden detail we need if there is something like these small holes that are cut right through. We want to indicate on one of these views, not on both, but just one of them, we indicate the hidden information. So for example, if we have hidden information here to show that these holes are cut right through, we won't show them on this side as well. So again, you can translate the information by using the top view here. The other part of the hidden information that we will need is this cylinder here. Now you could reason that because I can see this whole cylinder is cut away, and I see it's a solid part there, that I don't need to have hidden detail. However, there's no way for me to know whether the solid part is at a continuous line or lying at an angle. So I need to show my hidden detail here for the bottom of the circle to show that there's not an angle here, but it's actually lying at a single level. And that will be the completed orthographic drawing before we add any dimensions.